It's very challenging for startups to find the right set of advisors, and I think it's not a trivial task at all. It becomes very challenging for multitude of reasons. One is, most experienced, seasoned people in India are just very busy with their time, so it's very difficult to extract time out of these people's schedules and actually do justice. The second issue is that the ability to match make the right kind of mentor, the attitude that the mentor brings, the advisor brings with that of the entrepreneur, just again reduces the probability of that good fit being found. So we see startups sort of struggle with the ability to build this base of advisors and mentors. They're slightly different roles. So for example, I would think that I play an investor role. I play an advisor role somewhat in a diluted fashion. I might, on a fundraising standpoint, on a business development standpoint, overall strategy, consumer behavior, give inputs as like an advisor who's also an investor. But also find that more than an advisor, I'm playing a mentor role when called upon, right? And so primarily, I think you have to, and the mentor role is very different from an advisor role. The mentor role, they could be the same person, but I'm saying the roles are different. The mentor role is the person who actually makes an emotional connect with the entrepreneur to understand, what is bogging them down, right? It could be things at home, it could be things at work, it could be business issues. It could be just some struggle or the other which they need sorted out. An advisor is probably more domain or business specific, who handles a certain element of the business for them at a particular point. The only way it can get sorted out in some sense over the long term, I think, is by asking all the people who have a vested interest in you to be able to help you out in finding those people. So Blume, for example, tries to put together a roster of people who are always in our close contact or somewhere broadly in our ecosystem. So if you want somebody who can give them advice on payments, or somebody who can give them advice on e-commerce metrics, we'll try and help them find that person. The challenge has been that most of the advisors will lose interest if it is a short-term transactional interaction as opposed to a long-term committed interaction. And that is where we've seen a lot of ESOPs be wasted, in the sense that I would rather have 1% of the company go to 4 such advisors and have them married over a period of time and build value together, rather than, hope that you'll somehow protect that 1% and not give that away. So the US has a culture of getting 4 or 5 of these people and possibly making an error on 2 of them, but it's okay. If you put a vesting schedule on it, if you make it a 3-year engagement, you automatically take care of some of this adverse selection problem and you'll save that equity. But there isn't even an attempt to do this very actively amongst most startups in India, and I would encourage this to become a standard practice. The other way to, free equity part is what worries most people, right? So what if I give 0.25% and I don't get any value for it? And it's of some value to me, so why should I give it away, right? But it's a chicken and egg problem. So the advisor is thinking, why should I keep helping? First, one meeting is okay, I'm doing a favor to the investor or to him, but why should I meet him the second time? So our solution for that in the long term, which I think somebody like 500 Startups does fairly effectively, is to be able to give these so-called advisors a play in the company. So if you have a roster of advisors who like certain spaces, can they be offered the opportunity to play 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs, 5 lakhs into a company? Earn that equity by way of purchasing it at the same value that we are as investors, and then be married to the idea as an investor advisor. So in cumulative sense, you can raise 10-15 lakhs from high quality people, even if they are 1-2 lakh amounts, so that there is a vested interest, and in that sense you could probably even double their stake by virtue of giving them half of it gratis as an advisor. So then they believe that you're sincere about taking them on, and you believe they are sincere because they've at least put half of it in money. And I think we'll have to come up with some of these creative solutions because it's India. There is no track record, there is no legacy, and we have to be creative in designing good solutions for these kind of problems.
So this is a very interesting question, and I wanted to I sort of relish this one because I was in the valley maybe about 5-6 years ago when I was there before I moved back, and this was more in the context of a US raise where there was a VC and he asked all the people in the audience to put up their hands, and it was a largely male audience, and the question was that how do you pick, how do you pick a foreign investor, how do you pick a VC? And he said that a VC, at least in the US, is more important than picking your wife or your spouse, because at least in the US, most marriages last only about 5 years, but a VC is going to be with you for about 7 to 8 years, well past that. So having said, I think the point here is, on a serious note, is that the VC is a partner. Right? They're not just a bank, or they're not just a source of money. I think that's very, very important. That a lot of entrepreneurs feel that you have a nice brand name and that solves everything. And I think it's really a marriage, right? It's as much our due diligence on the entrepreneur as opposed to the other way around. I think it's very important for the entrepreneur to do their due diligence on the investor and which investor is right for them. That's very important. So let's take some examples. So if you paint a landscape, you have individual angels, you have angel groups, you've got now incubators and accelerators, then you have angel funds like Blume, and you have the larger VC firms, right? So it's not a one size fits all. I think depending on which phase of fundraising life cycle the company is in, you appropriately partner with that. So very often we like actually companies that have come from incubators and accelerators because they've done the filtering job for us, which we like. Very often individual angels are a really good way to bootstrap a company because they do add a lot of value. They spend their time also along with giving money. And of course, so I would say, to break it up, if you're raising, let's say between, let's say less than 50 lakhs, then incubators, accelerators, and or individual angels are a great way to start. When you're looking for that next jump of capital, let's say from 50 lakhs to about 2 crores, is where angel funds like us come in, where you want the formal discipline of a first institutional round of capital. You need to put some formality into the business. You need a board who can guide you, who can ask you the tough questions, to open up markets, to help you in hiring. And then of course when you're looking for the next round of capital, you go to a VC who is going to help you scale to the next level. So I think entrepreneurs have to think about exactly where they're at and appropriately think about it. It's not a one size fits all.